make a video on how to do half blind dovetails using the Rockler Dovetail Jig. So first of all, let's assume that your jig is securely mounted to your workbench or your table, and let's start. So first of all, you'll see I'm just using a couple of test pieces here. Always make your cuts using test pieces first. Once you've got that perfect, then you can move on to your actual lumber. So as you can see here, I've got my pieces labeled, front and left, and then I've also got this the tops numbered. So these numbers here I would number 1, 2, 3, 4, assuming I was making a drawer, and then what this does is this indicates to us the top of the workpiece. Okay, so as part of the set, as part of the jig, Rockler provide, they give us 3 router bits. They also give us a collet reducer, and they give us a guide bushing. So for half blind dovetails, what we're going to do here is we're going to install, of course, the guide bushing. We're going to install the collet reducer, and then we're going to use the 14 degree router bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the depth of that router bit to using the template that they give us on the half blind dovetail template. They have a depth gauge right there, so we're going to set that up. Mine looks about, let's see, looks about right, and we'll test that. All right, next, what we need to do is we need to make sure that the joints are balanced evenly across the wood. So what I mean is, I'll show you this. In other words, if we have the wood in here, we don't want the joints to be out of balance here. We want them to be evenly spaced. So I'll show you how we do that. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to take the front of the drawer, and we want to install that with the inside facing up. We're going to put that in the jig here, and we're just going to get it more or less in line here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the left side, and we're going to also have that with the inside facing out, right? So the inside facing out, and we're going to install it here. And what we're going to do is we're going to balance this across the template. We're going to balance this by setting this spacer here. So you can see, you unscrew these screws, that screw, and what you'll do is you'll adjust it accordingly, so that now I have mine spaced evenly, butted up right up against this guide here. So next, what we want to do is we want to make sure that that the front of the drawer is also butted up. There's actually a little offset here. You'll see there's an offset between the front and the side. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure the front is firmly butted up against not only the front of the workpiece here, but also up against the guide on the left hand side here. Now then, left hand pieces of the drawer are cut on the left hand side. So for the right hand side, they are cut on the right hand side of the jig. So you'll need to adjust this one accordingly for when you cut the right hand side of the jig. So if we get that butted up firmly against our workpiece here, then what we want to do is we want to secure the top in the jig by clamping it down as such. Next, what we want to do is we want to get the front set up exactly flush with should I say the left side piece. We want to get that flush with the top of the workpiece here, and we want to clamp that down as well. Clamp that. Now then, the next thing, we need to get the depth of the wood here, or the depth of the cut that we're going to do. And so I'm using 3/4 inch stock, and you'll see here's a little guide on the left hand side here that says if I'm using 3/4 inch stock for half blind dovetails, then I should use the B setting. And what that is there's a gradient here on both sides that I want to align the back of the template with that setting. So in this case, this is B. So I'll set it, make sure it's done on both sides. Set it to B and screw it down. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is we need to set this stop bar. We need to set the stop bar so that the cut doesn't go too deep. Now here's how you do that, is this is all dependent on the actual router that you have. Now then, so pay attention to the Rockler Dovetail Jig instructions. There is a section on it, how to set the stop bar. There's instructions on it. It's a very simple calculation. After going through that calculation, what it turns out is that the Bosch router that I have, I need to set the stop bar 4 1/4 inch from the front of the template here. So what I do is I'll make sure that that's set evenly on both sides. So I set it here. And of course you make sure that it's equal on both sides. Just double check that. Okay, so we're looking good, ready to start milling. So before we start routing, when you're doing wider pieces or you're doing the right-hand cut, you'll notice that your router will bump into the handle for the front cam lock. So make sure you remove that before you start routing. And so let's take that out. Then what we're going to do is make sure we're wearing eyewear, safety eyeglasses, and also some hearing protection. And let's start. One thing you don't want to do when you're routing here is you don't want to lift this bit up out of the piece while you're in the middle of a finger, because that's going to destroy your template. So make sure you keep your router flat on its base, and let's see how this goes. Okay, let's take a look at that. So let's take them out, see how they line up. Okay, so see here, basically fit together like this, and give it a little tap. It's nice and firm, and tap here. Looks pretty good. It's a little, the tails are a little proud. So so let's talk about that. If the fit is too tight, then what you've got to do, so in other words, if it's very difficult to get the two parts to fit together, then what you've got to do is lower the router bit setting. And if it's too sloppy, if it's too loose, you raise the router bit just a touch. And then also with these, like mine are slightly proud. So what if they're sticking above the workpiece a little, what you need to do is move this stop fence back. And if the tails are sunken into this end piece, then what you've got to do is move that stop piece forward. But I think that's not Well, for a first attempt, it's not too bad. I might just tweak a little, but I think this makes the point that you should always do this on test pieces, not on your final lumber that you're going to use for your drawers or your boxes. Once you've got it all set up and aligned, then it's a case of just making, don't adjust anything, make all your cuts, and everything should line up perfectly. Thank you very much for watching.